Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Saturday, May the 2nd, 2020, and this is the English language summary of the daily press briefing here at the Center for COVID Situation Administration, or CCSA, for Saturday, May the 2nd, 2020. So as you can see, the COVID center here, the CCSA, we have 100% wearing masks. Sometimes you see us wearing masks, taking off our masks on the podium. Sometimes we take it off before going on air. But of course, rest assured that of course we're 100% wearing masks. So before the spokesperson summarize the information for you, I'd like to inform you that there was also a special panel today with some information provided by the government spokesperson, Dr. Narumon, as well as the Secretary General of the National Security Council and the Permanent Secretary of Interior as well on certain points. I'll just summarize these points. The government spokesperson mentioned about the Prime Minister praising the hard work by the medical and relevant staff, as well as for the cooperation from the general public. The main point of consideration for any easing of the restrictions, of course, is the health concern, and the importance, of course, in setting standards for implementation by the provincial administration. Another part is the local control in each area is very important, and this is implemented and performed strictly and carefully. The Secretary General of the National Security Council mentioned that disease control remains the foremost priority. However, the government realizes the difficulty faced by everyone, especially in terms of the economic effects. Thus, the easing will be gradually implemented, as we all know. And the disease control must remain the main concern with everyone's cooperation and observing of the health guidelines. That's very essential. And we will be evaluating the situation every 14 days. So he also mentioned about the various businesses wherein the measures have been relaxed and can be open on the 3rd of May, as mentioned yesterday and earlier today. The Permanent Secretary of Interior also mentioned about the inter-provincial travel, that each province will carry out their measures in accordance with the CCSA's regulations. The regulations discourage the unnecessary travel or the postponement of travel, and those who have the necessity to travel must have their purposes in traveling and undergo the health screening, the checkpoints, go through the various checkpoints and local quarantine if that is deemed necessary. And if the travelers come from high-risk provinces, that would be a necessary reason, unless these travelers have official documents stating otherwise. So in traveling, please plan ahead, check the province's measures, and avoid, of course, in general, avoid unnecessary travel. On the various regulations announced in the Royal Gazette yesterday, I'd just like to sum up some of these announcements, because as we are approaching the first phase to ease the regulations in Thailand, just to sum up the recent regulations that would set the tone for our new normal, as we call it. So first is Regulation number 5, issued under Section 9 of the Emergency Decree, outlining measures to curb the spread of the virus, such as curfew, inter-provincial travel restrictions, suspension of inbound flights, which you have learned already from the CAAT announcement, the suspension of school and temporary closure of congested places, and suspension of events that assemble a lot of people. So that was Regulation number 5. Now, Regulation number 6, issued under Section 9 of the Emergency Decree, concerns the easing of restrictions, such as reopening of certain businesses, public places, parks, and sports venues, which we have elaborated yesterday and the day before. So these 6 type of businesses are allowed to reopen from the 3rd of May, tomorrow onwards, and that could be seen on screen as well. We presented this to you yesterday and this morning as well. Next is the order of the CCSA number 2, 2020/2563, issued under Section 9 of the decree, publishing the guidelines for enforcement of the reopening of businesses and the resumption of activities in this first phase of easing of restrictions. And lastly is the order of the Prime Minister number 21/2563, establishing an advisory committee to analyze the impact and find the most appropriate and suitable ways to remedy the socio-economic impacts of the COVID outbreak. There are some regulations that may have effect on your livelihood, of course. What this means is that from the 3rd of May onwards, a certain degree of normalcy can be resumed in some types of businesses which can open again. The curfew and other restrictions concerning travel and public gathering will still be in effect. If you see on screen, that's a easy to understand guideline, flexible measures which we are easing up, and on the right side, the stricter measures which are still in place. So for those who operate or plan to visit certain businesses, parks, and venues that will reopen, it's essential that you follow the guidelines that such as keeping in your stores and shops sanitized, maintaining physical distancing, have good air circulation, making sure that all venues have people washing hands often, wearing masks all the time. And these principles, these general principles and guidelines, we mentioned that since yesterday already. But there will be a guideline, a guidebook actually, on how exactly to operate these businesses during the COVID situation. And this guidebook will be available for business owners in the form of an ebook, most probably within today. And just to elaborate on some points of concern, restaurants and businesses, as outlined by Regulation number 6, that could reopen are those outside the shopping malls that we mentioned. And of course, there are certain exceptions to within the malls, such as banks, supermarkets, IT shops, pharmacies, and restaurants, which can operate for takeaway only. So this is talking about inside the malls, Now, there are some questions, of course, whether this applies to the commercial offices with community malls inside them. So the general principle, as mentioned, is about having good air circulation. That's one of the important principles, the flow of air, the risk of congestion. So therefore, malls, when you go to malls, you will not be able to buy or sell the normal shopping items like clothes, for example. But you can be able to visit the shops which are exceptions, which I mentioned, which are supermarkets, IT shops, pharmacies, restaurants for takeaway, and banks and the like. So that's for malls, because they have the risk of congestion, the risk of having not adequate flow of air circulation. So malls fall under that category. For commercial offices with the shops inside them, they are considered to be community malls, commercial buildings with stores inside them. So those are considered to be community malls. So therefore they fall under the same category as malls. So in those commercial offices with community malls, they cannot sell the normal items, like clothes and jewelry or anything, but of course with the exceptions as with the malls. So supermarkets, takeaway, restaurants, and the rest. However, for standalone, those outside malls or those outside commercial offices with community malls, those standalone shops, that's considered in the six business types that we mentioned. So restaurants, standalone, can open for dine-in, but of course abiding by the guidelines and principles announced. So please keep in mind that different provinces may have different measures, but no provinces will have measures that are below the standards set by the CCSA, while some may enforce stricter measures than the CCSA. So please check with your provincial administration on the specific details. Just to mention that every day we're here for you as long as necessary to provide information and accurate and reliable information to the general public. This is sort of like a daily feed for the English language audience, and the Thai portion, of course, for the Thai general public. But having a daily feed, of course, has its good points and bad points. We realize, of course, the good side of it is that you receive information as soon as it is known, that it can be announced. And of course, the downside of it is that there is the misperception that there's always a change in what we try to convey. So I think that, in summary, it is better to receive the latest information and updates as soon as it is available, because what we do is we have a daily assessment, and in this situation we have to move as fast as COVID. So therefore, it is for your own benefit that we have these daily feeds. So as soon as information is available, we bring it to you. That's the good side of having these daily feed and daily information. Of course, the latest information we update to you. So it would not be very useful to perhaps, of course, like compare to the information provided perhaps like last week and then say that why is it different from this week? Of course, because we assess every day. We move as fast as COVID. That's what we're trying to do, and to provide you with the best information for your own benefit. A case in point is the issue of the sales of alcohol. That's a matter of public concern, sale of alcohol beverages. So the sales of beverages will be resumed on the 3rd of May, but you are allowed to purchase for home consumption only, for takeaway only. This was announced in the Royal Gazette in the order yesterday evening. So for home purchase only, no gatherings or consumption in public places or restaurants will be allowed. Please also keep in mind that implementing this ban on alcoholic beverages is actually the authority of each provincial administration. So please check with your respective provincial administration for specific and final details, as certain provinces may decide to continue with the ban or place further restriction on the sales. But as far as the federal government is concerned, there was an announcement yesterday that the alcoholic beverages will be able to resume on the 3rd of May, tomorrow, but for take home only. This is one of the examples that I would like to give you on our daily feed. As soon as it becomes available, we provide it to you for your benefit. And of course, there are still risks in the whole situation worsening. We have to be very mindful of that as well. The curfew has been extended for 1 more month. It's essential that we continue to abide by the rules, and to keep the public and yourselves safe. Please refrain from any activities that would breach the curfew. And if you come across any activities breaching the curfew, please inform the authorities. So moving on to the issue of Thai nationals' repatriation. So first of all, of course, as I mentioned often, repatriation of foreign citizens, that's going on. You have to contact your embassy for that. For example, we had a recent repatriation of citizens of India back to their country through coordination with the Indian embassy, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I'll talk a bit later about India as well after this. For the repatriation of Thai nationals by land and air, all returnees, as mentioned often, will go through the screening and quarantine procedures. For today, Saturday, May the 2nd, we have 3 repatriation flights, the details of which are on the screen now, on the slide, yes. We have from Kazakhstan, from the Netherlands, taking Thais from various countries in Europe, as well as from Dubai, the UAE. For tomorrow, we have flights from Spain, from Singapore, and from Russia, which is to be confirmed. And of course, everybody would go into the state quarantine, as mentioned. The activities of the Thai embassies and consulates abroad, that still continues. We have images for you every day. First is the Thai embassy in Colombo, Sri Lanka, facilitating the return of children and adults of Thai stranded in Sri Lanka, as well as the Royal Thai Embassy in Singapore. Several repatriation flights are coming in from Singapore in these couple of days. And of course, meanwhile, in the Royal Thai Consulate General in Frankfurt, Germany, they've also continued to reach out to provide the necessary health and medical supplies and other necessities to the Thai citizens abroad embassies and consulates continue to coordinate, contact the Thai community through Facebook or official line accounts as well as video conferencing or meeting face-to-face in some countries that allow. And we're working to secure repatriation flights for other Thai nationals who wish to come home. For international cooperation, yesterday, His Excellency the Prime Minister had a phone conversation with His Excellency Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, where both leaders discussed about the COVID pandemic, exchanging words of encouragement and confidence and commitment to coordinate and assist for the repatriation of each country's nationals. Thailand thanked also the Indian government for assistance in repatriating Thai nationals in India and hope for the continuous support. The government of India also expressed their readiness to export supplies of medicine and medical equipment in Thailand. Moreover, Thailand and India also agreed to explore other areas of cooperation such as the post-COVID economic cooperation as well as medical research and development under both bilateral and ASEAN frameworks. So moving on to the general situation, the number of cases that we have for today. We have 6 new confirmed cases, which can be divided into 2 plus 2 plus 2. Just briefly, so 2 of these 6 cases are in state quarantine. That means that is under control. The other 2 is from active case finding in Phuket, and the last 2 is from close contact with persons affected by COVID from Bangkok and Phuket. So 6 is a very good number, making the cumulative number of people with confirmed cases in Thailand 2,966, not yet 3,000, in which 92% now of this number have recovered or been discharged. New fatalities, happy to report once again that we have no fatalities recorded for yesterday. As for observations, we have witnessed a positive trend in terms of the number of confirmed cases for some consecutive days now. So we thank everyone in Thailand, both Thais and foreign nationals, for cooperation and support, an act of solidarity. This is essential for overcoming the virus, and this battle, of course, transcends nationalities. So the only way to battle this common enemy, fight this common enemy together, is to join hands. For the curfew, we have around 519 persons violating the curfew in terms of leaving the residence. So we hope that number will not increase in the days to come. We also have been monitoring, of course, the question and answer, the inquiries on social media as well. There was one question from the press, actually, which was raised yesterday from the Yomiuri Shimbun press on how many Thai persons have expressed their intention to return home and are stranded abroad in terms of returning home on land, through land borders. Also, how many foreign migrant workers in Thailand want to return home to their home countries and are stranded on the Thai side of the land border. So those are two questions raised. So all Thai persons who wish to be repatriated back to Thailand, both by air and land, would have to follow the requirements set by the government. And most importantly is that they have to register with their respective Thai embassies and consulates. So currently, the question was about how many. So currently there are around 6,161 Thai persons who have registered with our embassies and consulates to return to Thailand through land border. And this is specifically for the month of May, since we are in the beginning of the month of May. So around 6,000 Thais wanting to return through land borders in May. And as for the second question, currently there is not yet a firm request yet from the governments of the neighboring countries on the repatriation or return of migrant workers who want to return to their home countries. However, we are in discussion with governments of our neighboring countries, and we'd like to thank them, especially, of course, the government of Myanmar as well, for continuing the discussions with the Thai side on this possible scenario in the future. Of course, in order to secure and ensure an orderly, healthy, and safe return for the benefit of both countries. On the concluding note, I'd just like to say that as we approach the first step in easing the restrictions and the return to normalcy, we'd just like to, of course, have to take a moment to remember all the sacrifices and the losses that we have had to endure. This pandemic has caused hundreds of thousands of fatalities. I think around the world it's almost 3 million, and 3 million confirmed cases, and hundreds of thousands of fatalities, and uncountable disruptions and pain suffered by people around the world. It's a large number. It's important to remember that this number is not just number per se, but of course they represent people with lives, people with families, stories, and values. They represent us, everybody. So therefore, I always ask everyone to always be supportive and understand one another during this difficult time. But one silver lining is I hope that we could get through this disaster as we as a community can come to value and understand each other more, as well as appreciate the minute details and the normalcy that we have in good life, the blessings that we have. So our hearts and prayers go out to those who have had sacrifice, endured, and suffered during this time. So this is all I have for the summary of the English language summary of the press briefing today. We hope that it is beneficial and useful for you every day. So thank you very much. Good afternoon, good luck, and always be safe, healthy, and cautious. สวัสดีครับ